Hello my dear students, welcome back to Metals and Non-Metals. Today we shall discuss about the non-metals, about their physical properties as well as their chemical properties. Let us see some examples first. So carbon, sulfur and phosphorus are some of the non-metals. Okay, now these are brittle and non-lustrous. Brittle means they can be easily, they are not hard as that of the metals, because metals, solid metals are all hard, whereas non-metals are brittle. That means they are easily breakable, or they may be in the form of a powder. And non-lustrous, metals are lustrous, they are non-lustrous. That means they do not have any shine. Okay, they are very dull. Okay, let us discuss first about the physical properties of the non-metals. The first property is the physical state. That means which state it is. So they can be in the three states, that is solid state, liquid state and gaseous state. So mostly they are found in solid and gaseous state, and only one exception is there of the liquid, that is of the bromine. Okay, so some solids are like carbon, sulfur, phosphorus. Liquid like bromine. Okay, they are all categorized solid. Bromine is the liquid, whereas gases are hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. All these are included under gases. There are many more, but these are few examples out of this. Okay, so luster, that means shine. Okay, since they are found mostly in gaseous state, okay, they do not have any luster. Whereas those which are in the solid state also, they do not have any shine. Like suppose carbon in the form of a coal, does it have any luster? No. But carbon in the form of a diamond, that is the allotrope of carbon, one of the allotrope of carbon is diamond. It is an exception. It is the most brilliant object naturally found of the allotrope of carbon. Whereas even iodine crystals, if you see, they are showing brilliant color, that is shine. So these are two exceptions for the property called as luster. Whereas hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and neon, they are colorless gases. Some are categorized as having a color. Okay, even if they do not have any luster and all, but they can be colorful, or they may be colorless. So the gases like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, helium and neon are all gases which are colorless in nature, whereas there are certain objects, certain non-metals which are colorful, like carbon is black in color, coal. Okay, sulfur is yellow colored, whereas bromine is brown in color. Okay, there are many more colorful non-metals. Now next one is brittleness. Now as you know that they are easily breakable, they are called as brittle in nature. So for this, let us perform a small activity. So if you take a coal and try to hammer it with a hammer, what do you see here? You find that it has broken into pieces, correct? So that means it is easily breakable, or also called as brittle in nature. So solid non-metals which are there are brittle. Okay, I am talking about solid non-metals are brittle. Okay, some non-metals are soft. Okay, whereas the diamond is an exception. Okay, the diamond, which is the allotrope of carbon, diamond is not non-metal, diamond is a allotrope of carbon. Okay, pure form of carbon. So it is an exception that it is the hardest substance known in the world. It cannot be broken easily. Okay, hardest natural substance is found. Next is ductility and malleability. If they are not hard, how they can be ductile and malleable? So from this activity itself, you come to know that they cannot be drawn into a wire or into a thin sheets. So therefore, they are neither ductile nor malleable, like that of the unlike that of the metals. Fine. So this is regarding ductility and malleability. Next is the conduction of heat and electricity. They do not conduct any heat or electricity because they do not have free electrons like that of the metals. Okay, metals have the free electrons which can be easily given away, whereas they do not have the free electrons, and therefore they cannot conduct electricity. Okay, even they cannot conduct heat. Okay, so about electricity I have talked in detail, so you know how electricity generates because of the flow of electrons, and here there are no flow. I mean the electrons are free, not free in the non-metals, and therefore they are poor conductors of electricity. There is an exception, that is carbon in the form of graphite can conduct electricity. So graphite is used even in the dry cell, if you remember, as the positive electrode. Okay, if you see the dry cell, you will find that there is a graphite acting as the positive electrode. So graphite is an allotrope of carbon, and it is an exception for this, that is they cannot conduct electricity. So why it is so, you will learn in standard 9. It's because it consists of one free electron, and therefore it is a good conductor of electricity. Next is the density. Non-metals have low densities. Let us see each one of these. Oxygen have density which is around 0.0001429 grams per cubic centimeter, so which is very less as compared to that of water. Water has 1 gram per cubic centimeter, whereas you can see the density of oxygen so less. Then let us see the density of nitrogen. So density of nitrogen is around 0.001256 grams per cubic centimeter, whereas that of the chlorine gas, density of chlorine is 0.003214 grams per cubic centimeter. So density is very low. Let us see the melting and boiling point. So even the melting and boiling points are very less as compared to that of the metals, because metals are hard, and they are, since they are strong, they are hard, their melting and boiling points also goes on increasing. It's because the atoms are very tightly packed inside the metals, whereas here, since they are porous, or maybe they are not hard, not brittle, and since the atom may be having little spaces in between them, they do not have the high melting or boiling point. So generally they have low melting and boiling point, with few exceptions here also. Okay, that is, one is graphite in the form of carbon in the form of graphite, and second is boron. So melting point of graphite is around 3550 degrees Celsius, and even that of the diamond is also very high, whereas the melting point of boron is around 2075 degrees Celsius. So these are exception for the melting and boiling point. Okay, whereas sulfur is around 115 degrees Celsius. Next, let us learn about the chemical properties of the non-metals. First one is the electronic configuration. For that, we will see some of the examples like nitrogen, oxygen and chlorine. Okay, now nitrogen, oxygen and chlorine, let us see the electronic configuration with the help of their atomic numbers. So atomic number of nitrogen is 7, and so its electronic configuration becomes 2, 5. That means it has 5 electrons in its outermost shell. Okay, whereas oxygen's atomic number is 8, and so its electronic configuration becomes 2, 6. That means it has 6 electrons in its outermost shell, so it requires 2 electrons to complete its octet. Whereas chlorine's atomic number is 17, and so its electronic configuration is 2, 8, 7. Okay, so it requires 1 electron to complete its octet. Okay, so from this electronic configuration itself, you can come to know how they can form the ions. So most of the non-metals have 4 to 7 electrons in the outermost valence shell. Now just now we have seen from 5, 6 and 7. Okay, now which one is the 4 valence electron? It's the carbon. Okay, carbon, silicon, they have 4 electrons in the outermost shell. Okay, so generally these non-metals have 4 to 7 electrons. So if we see about the metals, they have 1 to 3 electrons in the valence shell, so which can be easily given away because it requires less energy to give these electrons, whereas to accept 7 electrons or 6 electrons or 5 electrons, it is very difficult. Whereas in these non-metals, if you see, they cannot give away 5 4 electrons or 5 electrons or 6 electrons and 7 electrons, it requires lot of energy. Instead they can accept 1 electron, 2 electrons, 3 electrons and so on, okay, or 4 electrons, and form instead negatively charged ions. So now let us see the next chemical property, that is the formation of the ions. So how these are forming the ions? So generally non-metals have a tendency to accept electrons, as I have just mentioned to you, in their valence shell and form the negatively charged ions. They are also called as the anions, okay. So let us take an example of chlorine first. So chlorine requires 1 electron to complete its octet, and therefore it forms the chloride ions by accepting 1 electron, which is also called as the Cl minus. So chlorine accepts 1 electron in its valence shell and forms the chloride ion or Cl minus ion. So it gains 1 electron, and since it gains 1 electron, the number of electrons in the outermost shell was 7 first, now it becomes 8. So total electrons now becomes 18, whereas the number of protons are only 17. That means 1 negative charge is extra, and therefore it forms Cl minus ion, which is also called as chloride ion, forming an anion. Next one is the nitrogen. So oxygen requires 2 electrons to complete its octet, and it forms an oxide ion by gaining 2 electrons, so it becomes O2 minus, whereas nitrogen atom accepts 3 electrons in its valence shell and form nitride ion, that is N3 minus ion. This is the way how they are forming the negatively charged ions called as anions. Now let's move on to the next next chemical properties, that is reaction with oxygen. So we have even seen the reaction of metals with the oxygen, they form oxide set. Even non-metals, when they combine with oxygen, they too form the oxide. Now let us take example. Here you can see carbon, when it is burnt in air, it forms carbon dioxide. So here carbon dioxide, that means it also forms an oxide. But in the case of metals, you have learned that the metallic oxides are basic in nature. Then what about non-metallic oxides? Yes, you are right. If they are basic in nature, this will be acidic in nature, correct? And how you can come to know? Let's suppose carbon dioxide, if you try to dissolve in water, soda bottle, right? In the soda bottle, carbon dioxide is dissolved under pressure, and it forms a typical sour taste. It's this sour taste, it's because of the formation of the carbonic acid, because it carbon dioxide combines with water to form carbonic acid. So you can see that oxides of non-metals are acidic in nature, and therefore since they are acids, they can combine with the bases to form the soluble salt and water, correct? Let's take an example and see. Okay, so acid, by nature, you have learnt already that when an acid reacts with base, it forms salt and water, which is also called as a neutralization reaction. Now that means you have to react the non-metals with non-metals, metallic oxides are acidic in nature. So since they are acidic in nature, you will have to treat them with the base, and so they will form, like for example, carbon dioxide, when it reacts with sodium hydroxide, the base, okay, it forms sodium carbonate as the salt and water. Okay, so it is also a neutralization reaction. Okay, so this is one of the example. Whereas if you take so carbon dioxide is acidic in nature. Let us see oxides of non-metal reacts with water to form an acid. As I have mentioned to you, carbon dioxide, when it reacts with water, it forms carbonic acid. Whereas if you see sulfur dioxide, when it reacts with water, it forms sulfurous acid, that is H2SO3. Where sulfur trioxide, when it reacts with water, it forms sulfuric acid. So that means we can prepare acids from non-metallic oxides. So non-metal do not react with dilute acids. So can you reason out why is this so that they cannot react with acids? It's because they are acids. acidic in nature. So since the oxides of non-metals are acidic in nature, therefore non-metals will not react with dilute acid. So remember this, students, every time. Okay, so with this we have finished with the non-metals, physical properties and chemical properties. Next time we are going to learn about the uses of metals and non-metals, as well as the noble metals, uses of the noble metals, right? So till then, students, bye and thank you. God bless you all.